What are the sectors that has traditionally seen higher demand in credit?
MSMEs will have a dual role, and that dual role would be not only to keep pace with that increasing requirement, but also to increase their share in the Indian economy.
MSME have a very important role to bring in employment, to bring in diversity of growth, and third is in terms of the geographic depth of the growth.
Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. As we all know, MSMEs are the vital spark of our India's growing economic landscape. From traditional artisans to the tech-driven startups, MSMEs are not just the engine of the innovation, but they are the key drivers for inclusive growth. And to understand this dynamic space of MSME in the India's economy, today we have our special guest, Mr. Manoj Mittal, Chairman SIDBI, who brings in a wide scale of experience in the policy and development finance. And our second guest is Mr. Bhavesh Jain, MD and CEO TransUnion CIBIL, who is on the forefront of leveraging the data and analytics to build a robust credit ecosystem for MSMEs. I'd like to straight dive into the first question, and I would like to put across that to both of you, Mr. Mittal and Mr. Jain. Can you please share your perspective of current state of MSMEs in India's economy and how are they contributing to the country's economic vision of 2047? And may I please request Mr. Mittal to start with?
Great, thanks for the question. MSMEs, as you said, are one of the growth engines of the Indian economy, and they bring inclusivity. They bring a lot of regional coverage. They bring employment along with them, with the low cost of capital which is required to set them up. For Indian economy, this is very, very crucial, very, very important. And over a period of time, 7.34 crore MSMEs which are existing in the country, they provide employment to a huge number of people, and so that's where now in a $3 trillion economy, roughly 35% of the GDP comes from there. When we trying to become a $30 trillion economy as a Viksit Bharat by 2047, which we should, and we would become that economy, MSMEs will have a dual role, and that dual role would be not only to keep pace with that increasing requirement, but also to increase their share in the Indian economy. So that's where a lot of growth is going to come in the Indian MSME sector, and we are looking forward for these interesting times to come ahead.
That's a great insight. Thank you, Mr. Mittal. And Mr. Jain, would you like to share your views, please?
Great question again, I would say, and I'll just add to what Mr. Mittal said, that when we look at MSME's contribution to India's economy, almost 1/3 contribution to the GDP. Second is that for our aspiration to be Viksit Bharat by 2047, MSMEs are going to play a very pivotal role, because MSME bring in a completely different flavor to the economy. One, they provide employment to the semi-skilled and unskilled laborers, which possibly cannot be absorbed in the large corporate sector. So they create employment for the semi-skilled and unskilled laborers in India, which is very important for a population of our size. Second is in terms of the diversity of the economic growth they bring in, because MSMEs are spread across very different sectors, right from like your pharmacy to your auto spare parts, to your rural MSMEs providing agri products. So the diversity of their economic contribution is humongous. Third is in terms of the geographic spread they bring in. When you look at it, unlike corporate sector, who would be, or they would be clustered around the urban locations and some of the industrially developed states only. But when you look at MSMEs, they are in deeper geographies, and which is very important for a country like India's size, that you have a very consistent and well balanced growth across metros, semi-urban and rural locations. So when we look at all these three aspects, MSME have a very important role to bring in employment, to bring in diversity of growth, and third is in terms of the geographic depth of the growth.
Moving on, my next question is to Mr. Mittal. Sir, can you please guide us on the key initiatives that government is prioritizing and driving these initiatives for MSMEs per se, especially for providing an access in finance, technology and the market linkages?
So, one, as Bhavesh said, the spectrum of the MSMEs is very wide. It covers from a tiny enterprise or a micro enterprise to something very, very innovative on the other end. Something, maybe a 10 lakh enterprises to something which is doing a turnover with the new definition of 500 crores of rupees. So the spectrum is very, very, very wide at this hour. And in that, when we talk of access to finance, it covers both debt and equity. And very, very happy to say the juncture we are in at this moment, a number of bold initiatives have been taken by both Government of India and all ecosystem players, both to provide increasing access to debt and equity. And when I talk of debt, there are a lot of things happening. There is a push from the Government of India to increase it to a new level, maybe show about a growth of about 20% on the MSME credit, otherwise which have been growing at about 10-11%. So there is an increased amount push. There is Credit Guarantee Trust and NCGTC, a new organization which are encouraging bankers to provide more and more credit to the MSME sector, and probably we'll talk more about this particular thing. And then simplifications of the systems, processes at the bank, a uniformity of approach. For example, fintech platforms like online PSB loans, which have been promoted by different bankers. It gets applications from MSMEs and provide in principle clearances. This particular platform has been set by various banks, and it brings uniformity of approach. Now Government of India has desired that let there be a simplified uniform application and appraisal form for MSMEs, so that they need not fill up different kind of forms at the different banks. So now up to 5 crores of rupees, this kind of a simplified appraisal form has been launched. So all these factors are playing a big role in enhancing credit to MSMEs. And when I come to access to markets and access to market, there are some bold initiatives like ONDC. ONDC has got, as per my information, about 8 lakh MSMEs on board. So these are helping. This is giving them that kind of access, coming on electronic platforms, exploring new ways of marketing. And in addition to that, there is GEMS, which is again a pure government initiatives. And as part of the preparation, when I was seeing, I just saw in this financial year about 2 lakh crore worth of purchases have been done through micro and small enterprises on this platform. Single platform where the government department or organization buy goods from the MSEs, the purchases are worth 2 lakh crores. So this is the kind of the scale India is getting, and all these initiatives are coming from Government of India, push coming from Government of India. And at the same time, with regard to access to technology, this is something MSMEs are also bracing up to go to a next level, and there are programs like RAMP in partnership with World Bank and all, and Ministry of MSME and other things. They are promoting MSMEs to go for new and sustainable technologies. So on all the three fronts, there is action happening, and in particular, access to finance is being encouraged very well.
Thank you, sir. That is certainly very promising. Shifting gears a little bit, let's also talk about the credit flow. And that brings me to Mr. Jain again for this question. Mr. Jain, can you explain what is the role of the credit information, especially for improving the credit flow for the new borrowers?
So, for an economy like ours, which is already aspiring to be the number one or the number two economy in the world, financial inclusion plays a very important role, whether in terms of an individual level or at an MSME. what we see is that out of the 7 crore MSMEs in the country, there's a headroom available to bring those MSMEs into the formal credit sector. And as TransUnion CIBIL, we are committed to the cause of financial inclusion, and we have been working with credit institutions including SIDBI to make sure that we provide multiple data points for the credit institutions to take an objective decision, whether it is in terms of credit report, credit scores, new to credit scores, CIBIL MSME rank. The intent is to make sure that the credit institutions objectively assess the borrower. At the same time, the borrower has an objective tool at their availability so that they can avail the best financial terms and condition. Because today most of the banking industry have moved towards a risk-based pricing, which means if the consumer or an MSME has a good repayment history and a good credit history, they can get the best financial terms and conditions in the country. So our intent and our mission is to make sure that the credit information is available to the consumer and the credit institution to make credit access cheaper and faster.
Thanks, Mr. Jain. That was a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. I always believe that MSME as a topic has been very, very interesting and never ending. I would like to take a pause on this for our viewers to highlight that SIDBI and TransUnion CIBIL had recently collaborated to launch MSME Pulse, which is a research report that brings in a valuable insights on not only MSME sector but overall credit ecosystem for MSMEs. Building on that, I would like to put across my next question to Mr. Mittal. Sir, basis on this Pulse report, it also showcases that the overall portfolio has grown by 13%, which sounds very promising. Would you like to share your thoughts on the broader reasons behind it?
In fact, it's a very healthy growth which has been shown by the MSME sector in the last financial year. But the expectations are much more because there is still a credit gap, and even the government of India, as I said earlier, they are asking for about 20%, 19 to 20% credit growth from the public sector banks. So these are the kind of targets which are being given. And for this to happen, there is already an ecosystem in place. And that ecosystem is, as I said, it's about guarantees, it's about simplified application forms, it's about better productivity of banks because increasing use of digital means. So all these things are helping, and much more than that, what is helping is MSME themselves. Delinquencies are at the bottom at this time. So bankers are finding that it's profitable to lend to MSMEs. There used to be times when MSME delinquencies were quite high, but at this hour, these are almost at its nadir, it's at the bottom. So bankers are encouraged, they themselves are finding it profitable, so more and more. So all these things, when you put together, there is a demand, there is a gap in that, there is a better productivity coming, you have tools and means to do that, there are simplified forms to do all those kind of things, and it is profitable for you because delinquencies are at the lowest. So and there are other products like guarantee products and other things which are encouraging banks to lend more and more. So hoping to see maybe not 11% or 13% growth, maybe 20% plus growth in credit to MSME sector.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Mittal, for that response, and that really adds a lot of value to this conversation. Keeping that in mind, Mr. Jain, I believe you are in this sector for very long, and I'm sure you have seen the whole overall change in the trend, etc. Can you please share what are the sectors that has traditionally seen higher demand in credit?
So traditionally it's been the manufacturing sector where the credit demand has been very high and robust, but I like to draw the comparison with respect to the overall credit demand in India, even in a slightly I would say a difficult global economic scenario with multiple things coming together in the global economic front. The credit demand for the period January to March has been a good 11% for MSMEs. The credit supply has slightly moderated, But the interesting aspect is that in this credit demand supply equation, the new to credit continues to be a good healthy 47%. One. Second is that we see a good demand across different states, not just the traditional industrially developed states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and Gujarat, but we see good demand coming even from states like Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Karnataka, which is encouraging. And at the same time, when we look at the portfolio quality, which is a very important aspect to look at it, the portfolio quality has improved considerably in the post-COVID era, which ensures that lenders and credit institutions are motivated to go back to the MSMEs, reach out to them with different credit proposals so that we can bring those MSMEs from the informal credit sector to the formal credit sector, and that will have a multiplier effect on the economy. So we are quite excited to see in terms of the healthy credit demand, but at the same time looking at the geographic spread and the good portfolio quality. The delinquencies right now, the portfolio quality looks quite good for credit institution to go out and reach out to the MSMEs in the country.
I must say that sounds very, very progressive. Thanks for bringing that up. Bridging on the same, I would like to ask Mr. Mittal, can you please elaborate the role of CGTMS, especially for enabling the access to the formal credit for the MSME borrowers?
CGTMS, actually we call it flywheel of Indian MSME lending ecosystem. And why do we call it a flywheel is? The function of a flywheel is to take care of the jerks. If there are any kind of a jerks, and so it takes care and makes the whole motion smooth. And this is what a flywheel does. It's large enough and it can take care of the minor shocks or vibrations. When it started 25 years back, CGTMS, since then it has covered roughly 1.15 crore guarantees it has given to MSMEs for a value of 9.5 lakh crore estimate. And 50% of that has come in last 2 years, FY24 and 25. So this has gained momentum now. This flywheel has gained momentum, and now it's going to translate in more and more amount of MSME credit in this financial year and onwards. The corpus is bigger, the processes are set, MSMEs are aware of CGTMS, they demand to be covered under CGTMS, there is RBI directive on that, and then bankers find it worthwhile to go for CGTMS cover, and it's getting reflected in terms of now increased amounts. The average loan size has increased. Earlier only very small loans were being covered, now slightly bigger loans are getting covered in CGTMS. And CGTMS is the kind of claims which are coming over there. So the claims settlement ratios are also in control. That shows, again, it buttresses the point of Mr. Bhavesh Jain. The delinquencies are at the low, and the claim ratio at CGTMS also buttresses that particular point. So CGTMS is the flywheel of Indian MSME lending ecosystem.
Thank you, Mr. Mittal. That is a great perspective, and thanks for sharing such detailed information. While we are on this topic, I would also like to talk on the asset quality, which we briefly touched upon, and that brings me to Mr. Jain for the next question. Mr. Jain, the overall asset quality in the MSME credit finance has improved, has seen a significant improvement, and the overall delinquencies, as we are talking, have also seen an improvement. Can you share your thoughts on the broader reasons behind it?
So there are multiple reasons for it. One is in terms of the diversification on the different sectors within the MSME world who are seeking credit. Historically, it used to be only the manufacturing sector who would seek credit, but now you see a good mix between manufacturing, trade, professional services. It's a healthy mix. So you have a de-risk portfolio on the MSME. Second is in terms of the entire credit guarantee program post COVID, which helped to do the hand holding with the MSMEs. And third, and a very important aspect, is the awareness within the MSMEs on the importance of a good credit history. Because today an MSME or an individual in the country is very aware about the importance of a good credit history, a good score, a good CMR. And why I'm saying so? Because the borrower knows that there are financial benefits associated with having a good repayment history. So if you are looking at say an overdraft or a cash credit or any of the business credit facilities, and you go to a credit institution, if you have a good repayment history, you are bound to get a good financial terms and conditions across India. And these are the multiple factors that today MSMEs in India are really motivated to ensure a good repayment history, and hence we see an impact in terms of sub 2% 90 plus or delinquencies on the MSME portfolio, which obviously is going to help us to bring in those MSMEs into the formal credit fold.
Sure. Thanks for that wonderful perspective, Mr. Jain. And that brings us to the last question, which again I would like views from both of you, Mr. Mittal and Mr. Jain. How can we ensure that the growth of MSME is in both inclusive and sustainable? Can we start with Mr. Mittal?
So, by very nature of MSMEs, because there is a wide range, as I said in the beginning, spectrum. So you tend to give loans to a small one and to the bigger one as well, and increasingly there is a better participation of female borrowers in that. It's happening and it's visible. It's though at the lower end of the MSMEs, but it's increasing slowly. It's increasing. So inclusivity in terms of gender, inclusion in terms of regions, inclusion in terms of credit-starved areas, that's gradually increasing. And bankers are always conscious of that. And there are certain policy level inputs also. Because of that, it's gradually increasing. Coming to sustainability. So if I take it, in terms of, if I link it with the climate change and other things with the ESG. One thing is that MSMEs, what they understand is any kind of interventions, any kind of expenses have to be commercially viable for them. So this is where they understand this kind of a language very, very fast. And if MSME has to install a solar rooftop, they will do it because it saves electricity, it reduces his electricity bill. So any kind of a sustainability initiative, it has to be converted, it has to be monetized and explained to the MSMEs. They don't have anybody that kind of a wherewithal. This is something for the bankers, for the machinery suppliers to explain it to them. But increasingly, this is what is happening, and MSMEs are realizing that going for these kind of ESG initiatives can also give them some additional profits, additional cash flow available. And that's what we are, and it's creating additional business opportunities for the bankers as well.
Sure. I think that's a very encouraging message for the MSMEs. Thank you, sir. Mr. Jain, would you like to share your views, please?
Yes. So I'll share the perspective from both sides, from the side of the MSME and from the side of the banker. I would say from the banker's point of view, it will be really useful if the credit process is simplified further, because at TransUnion CIBIL what we have seen is that MSME finds it, and especially the women entrepreneurs find it easier to take a gold loan and a personal loan versus a business loan. So how do we simplify the credit process so that the entrepreneur finds it very convenient to get access to formal credit? So that's my message, saying that on the banking side, if we can simplify the credit process, on the MSME or the borrower side is a far detailed and in-depth understanding about the credit application, and most important, the importance of ensuring a good repayment history. Because today you need to ensure as a borrower a good repayment history in an individual capacity as well as part of the MSME ecosystem, whether you are a proprietorship firm, whether you are a partnership firm or a private limited company, because that is going to ensure that the borrower continues to get access to credit at the cheapest possible rate, and that will ensure that as MSMEs are contributing to 1/3 of India's GDP, it will help us create a credit fit India along with Viksit Bharat for 2047.
Thank you, Mr. Mittal, and thank you, Mr. Jain, for sharing such a valuable and insightful conversation. As we wrap up today's episode, one thing comes out very clearly, that MSMEs are not just the pillar of Indian economy, but they are the powerful engine of innovation, employment, and inclusive growth. By empowering these enterprises, we are just not building them, but we are building a self-reliant and resilient India. Thank you, and that was our CIBIL Sandesh.